What is this? Kareem Jawan, popular gamer and political streamer Asmongold, and why Mamdani gets his vote. What the Asmongold endorsed Mamdani? Uh-oh. That, are my eyes deceiving me? Asmongold having a good take. Ooh, remember what I said. That's a good indicator. Remember what I said. I mean, I'll listen to the take, but that's Mr. Goes by the wind, okay? That means tide shift incoming. Here, let's see what the average Republican, let's see what an actual Republican supporting Zohran looks like. An actual Republican that's not really a Republican at all, but just simply embodying whatever the Republican collective hive mind in the chat is saying.
Stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr.
You got my vote. There it is.
There it is.
It's that simple. There's a lot of things I disagree with this guy about, but
like what?
At least
like what? What are the disagreements? What is the well thought out, reasonable disagreements that you have? I want to know.
One of the things we should be proudest of in New York City are our sanctuary city laws. These are laws that have kept New Yorkers safe for decades. I would proudly stand up for them.
Which, by the way, this is what I say. I completely disagree with everything he's saying here. I think this is totally retarded. It's completely un-American, and I think sanctuary cities should be totally illegal. Let's see here. What would I agree with? End cash bail. I don't know about this. Repeal the walking while trans ban. I don't even know what that is. Decriminalize sex work. I think that's okay. Legalize marijuana. I agree with that. Safe injection sites. This sounds like bullshit. Restrict solitary confinement. I don't really know about this. Enact elder parole. I don't know about that. Decriminalize simple drug possession. I agree with that. Repeal all mandatory minimum sentences. I disagree with this. Reduce maximum sentences with retroactive effect. I also disagree with that. I think we need to have more people. Guys, I'm a big fan. So this is going to sound bad. I'm a big fan of putting a lot of people in jail.
There it is. There it is, dude.
He's actually trying, right? Yeah, he's got the right answer. They're openly saying, yes, we're going to go over to Israel. You think this guy's so horrible? Then stop putting up people that put Israel ahead of the United States. As a show of force and as a show of protest. It's a show of defiance. It is a show of defiance. It is a protest vote. It is a few. It is a, no, I'm not going to sit inside.
Tide's shifting, boys. Tide is shifting. Remember, Zohran and I are in agreement on virtually everything. And Asmongold has spent the last year talking about how I should be arrested.
So he's not actually going to go down there and stand in the in this area, because if he did, he'd get in trouble. Right? Like, he has no problem LARPing as a revolutionary, but actually putting it on the line, this is going to be very different, which, to be fair, he was. Well, if he was actually doing that, he should get in trouble. Like, I mean, for sure. He was, though? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think all these people should just get arrested.
I should go to jail permanently. I shouldn't be able to say the things that I'm saying.
Check us on stream title. He's so happy. What is it? Houthis show the limit of the Iron Dome. I'm going to be honest. I've been pretty reasonable about this for a long time. I think they should ban him.
All this stuff. And now he's like, yep, there it is. I wonder what changed. Perhaps the tides are shifting and someone is recognizing that because they have one ear to the ground always.
Of this little box that you put me in, I'm gonna go off the rails, and unless you want to follow me, you're gonna lose. Stop giving us candidates that prioritize Israel over New York City. New York City's a PvP server. There's crazy people everywhere in New York City.
What the What is, okay, cool. Yeah, someone that disagrees with you on like 99% of shit, even on Gaza, can agree on Zohran. Interesting. There is definitely a growing resentment towards Democrats in particular, but just like all politicians and their unlimited loyalty and support to Israel that is very frustrating to Americans, especially Americans that are experiencing all of this instability, right? If you're an American and you feel like your cities are run like shit, and the only thing that your politicians seemingly care about is Israel, then yeah, of course you're going to be mad. Of course you're going to be like, I don't like this. What the hell is going on? This is dumb as hell. what the hell is this? So I get that. For sure.
Would I vote for Eric Adams instead? I don't know enough about the guy, but I will say that the moment that I hear somebody, the first thing that they would want to do as mayor is go to the Holy Land. No, bro. If you are the mayor of my city, your Holy Land is right here. That's the way I see it. That's my opinion, right? The moment I hear that, I'm out. That's it. I'm done. Get the work, yes. And so, yes, stay in your fucking city.
There is definitely a common Mamdani-Trump voter. Look at this. Working class Hispanic neighborhoods where Zohran Mamdani performed well in the 2025 Democratic primary, they shifted significantly to the right in the 2024 general election. Zohran Mamdani also outperformed Andrew Cuomo in a lot of black neighborhoods as well. Having said that, there is still definitely a reliable older boomer voting bloc, especially in places like New York, that is overwhelmingly going to go for the establishment pick, whatever the establishment pick is, whatever the television is saying is like the good choice here. And they definitely went for Cuomo, but it wasn't enough to carry him across the finish line. And Zohran was able to basically pick enough voters from that constituency. But having said that, I think those guys will go for the Democrat. They're straight ticket Democrat voters, reliable Democrat voters. And I highly doubt Andrew Cuomo and all of the media are going to be able to turn around and get those voters to vote for an independent line when they have been straight ticket, straight line Democrat voters. Remember, these guys are Democrat machine turnout voters. Very, very difficult to take them off the pro-Democrat ticket. This was something that I always talked about. If Bernie was to ever be able to make it out the primary, where the Democrat machine turnout will work against him, all of those votes that are reliable blue votes would always vote for him anyway. Those are the people who vote for Kamala Harris, or those are the people who vote for Joe Biden because they're told to vote for Joe Biden. Those are the real vote blue no matter who people. And the real vote blue no matter who people are not going to stray away. They're not going to get off the Democrat ticket. The notion that people are going to say, nah, this guy's too progressive for me, can't do it, that does not exist in the establishment Democrat turnout machine. All of the establishment Democrats that might go to Andrew Cuomo won't go to Andrew Cuomo if he's not on the Democrat ticket. There will be some, but I don't think it'll be enough to move the needle. That's my point. A big part of why the incumbent mayor who's running on the independent ticket is deeply unpopular is also because he is pro-Trump. He is now basically working at the behest of Trump because he is compromised. Ironically enough, Andrew Cuomo is also just as compromised as Eric Adams is. So all of these reasons are why Zohran's chances are fairly decent. Now, this doesn't mean that Zohran can do this alone, especially if the establishment Democrat and all of the media work against them actively from this point on until the general. Obviously, that will make the chances much harder. I have seen a little bit of that. I have seen a little bit of that Zohran stuff happening. Like one of the best examples that the Democrats might actually still rat him is the fact that a lot of the Democrats in New York are just congratulating him on his victory, but not endorsing him. That's a little bit dangerous. Daniel Goldman is a good example of this. His district went to Zohran. Daniel Goldman came out and said this: Assemblymember Zohran Mamdani ran an energized campaign that elevated the most pressing issues facing our city, affordability and the cost of living. Yesterday, Zohran and I met to discuss those issues that we agree on, as well as other critical ones where we do not. Zohran and I share a desire to lift up vulnerable New Yorkers and make the city more affordable and safe. To that end, I explain why the Jewish New Yorkers feel unsafe in the city, and that as he continues his campaign, he must not only condemn anti-Jewish hate and calls for violence, but make clear that as mayor, he would take proactive steps to protect all New Yorkers and make us secure. Something that Zohran has mentioned far too much, more than he should.
It pains me to be painted as if I am somehow in opposition to the very Jewish New Yorkers that I know and love and that are such a key part of this city.
More than he should. He shouldn't have to constantly talk about how, he's going to protect all Jews. I'm sorry. Like, that's a policy that he has. He has an anti-Semitism task force that he wants to fund. Great. I don't have an issue with that. But at a certain point, if this is the only point that you want him to fucking drive home over and over again, it's pretty obvious that this is a racist point of contention that you have. He has made his position clear. Not only has he made his position clear, but Daniel Goldman's constituents have heard his position and have obviously responded positively to it. Not sure how many more times Zohran Mamdani has to say those exact words over and over again. Dan, I guess you aren't willing to support the Democratic nominee. Our district has spoken. I hope you listen. Yeah. He wants to do 800% increase in hate crime prevention funding. It's not just about anti-Semitism. It's about across the board everything. The problem is a lot of the pro-Israel crowd understands that when you say you want to do 800% increase in hate crime prevention, that doesn't mean the type of quote-unquote hate crime prevention you want to do, which is the ADL-style hate crime prevention, which is not even a real hate crime prevention initiative at all. It's just simply finding people that say, even jokingly, oh, it's white boy Sharia summer, or New York City is going to be implementing Sharia law, and then going, you have to go to jail. That's a hate crime. Why? Because it made me fearful, because I'm racist and Islamophobic. Dan Goldman is paid to help manufacture an anti-Semitism crisis in America. Primary Dan Goldman. Yeah, look at this. From 2023 to 2024, the anti-Israel and anti-Zionist sentiment were added on in 2023 after October 7. The ADL's anti-Semitism report data is out there. You can literally find this on your own. And back in the day, the ADL would not so nefariously and so cynically add all different kinds of anti-Zionist sentiments into the ADL anti-Semitism report. New York's 10th congressional district, by the way, represented by Congressman Dan Goldman, went to Mamdani by 46%, 64,000 votes. Cuomo only got 23%, and Brad Lander, who literally is Zohran Mamdani's cross endorser, that Brad Lander also got another 23% of the vote. So this is like an overwhelming Zohran Mamdani victory for the district. We don't know what the final vote tabulation looks like, but even on the first round, this is a blowout, right? Oh yeah, Dan Goldman, of course, $366,724 in independent expenditures and campaign donations received from the pro-Israel lobby. Yeah, of course. But basically, one of the things that took place is they used to always, they've been tracking anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism, as you can see. They've been tracking it since the IHRA adoption in 2016. They've been saying that like Jewish Voice for Peace is anti-Semitic, all this stuff, but they never logged it in the intensity that they have since 2023. And the reason why they started logging it as though it was like definitionally anti-Semitic, if someone was to say like free Palestine, or Israel, that is not an anti-Semitic statement. Okay. When someone says Saudi Arabia, they're not like, that's not Islamophobic. It's ridiculous. People are sick and tired of it. And I've said this already, like this is unironically making Israel's cause look worse overall. And yeah, this was a joke that someone had made, that they're going to have an intern logging every post-victory Zohran tweet as an anti-Semitic incident. And it literally happened. They did it. Important to remember this thread when in a few weeks, public officials of all stripes will report that anti-Semitic hate crimes have increased 7,000% in the last month. Why is 75% of the data categorized under other? Well, that's because that's like actually anti-Semitic incidents. Like when people draw like a swastika outside of a synagogue or something, like real instances of anti-Semitism. That's the other category. And by the way, more often than not, the other category is not conducted by Muslims. It's conducted by white neo-Nazis. That is the real irony of this entire predicament, is that there is no major anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic acts taking place in the United States of America or in the Western world between Muslims and Jews. There are far more white nationalists and white supremacists in this country that have historically hated both Muslims and Jews, and therefore, whenever Muslims are receiving Islamophobia, for example, more often than not, that's not coming from a Jewish person. It's coming from a white supremacist. It's coming from a Christian nationalist in the far right. And the same goes for anti-Semitic incidents, real anti-Semitic incidents, not anti-Zionism. For the record, this doesn't mean that there aren't Islamophobic Jews out there. Of course there are. And this doesn't mean that there aren't anti-Semitic Muslims out there. Of course there are. Republican, Democrat politicians, conservative media darlings like the Zionist cucks Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh, whose entire careers were built by the Israeli lobby, and their masters like Ben Shapiro are going absolutely insane with the Islamophobic racism, and they will face zero consequences for it. Nothing will happen to them. Their public status will be totally unaffected by it. But if they said the same exact thing they say about Zohran and him being a Muslim about a Jewish person, saying that that Jew is not American, that Jew is a rootless alien invader, that Jew is a dangerous parasite coming to destroy a country, it's over for them quicker than you could say Matt Walsh is a Zionist slave cuck. And again, everyone knows this is true. There is no world where you could say even a fraction of what Charlie Kirk has said about Muslims in the past week, about Jewish people, and maintain your direct line of communication to the White House. There is no fucking world. Nope, not even Elon Musk. Nope. As far as institutional muscle goes, as far as institutional permission goes, you can be as Islamophobic as you want, but you cannot be anti-Semitic. These are both intolerable bigotries. They have no place in modern society, and yet one is promoted without any career repercussions. The other is obviously a career death sentence, at least for the time being, which I think, like, if things go the way they have, especially because of the way that a lot of Americans are perceiving Israel as like the Jewish state due to the dangerous conflation made by Zionist groups, eventually that permission structure will also fall apart. That already has fallen apart, because in the past, like, the ADL, when they came out and said something along the lines of like, Hassan Piker, this like major progressive figure, is like a vicious anti-Semite, he must be deplatformed, I would get deplatformed. It was not even a question. There would be no world where like the New York Times would be writing a puff piece about me after something like that. If I had to hear anti-Semitism pick between us doing 9/11 and any single thing Fuentes says, I'm picking 9/11. Yeah, exactly. The most dangerous part about what Nick Fuentes says, and the most dangerous part about like what Nick Fuentes is doing nowadays, is that he, at least in his like most clippable moments, have significantly dialed back some of the shit he actually believes and some of the shit he used to say way more frequently, which is why he's like garnering attention and support. That is what's fucking terrifying about this process. And the ADL is so invested in trying to bully progressive figures who are anti-Zionist that they do not even give a f. And I'm sure he still says all the other shit as well. It just doesn't make it to the main stage. It doesn't make it to the most like viral clippable moments. When you hear Marjorie Taylor Greene, or when you hear Tucker Carlson talking about things that I have said, right? And you hear it in like short clips, you're going to be like, wait a minute, these guys are a lot more reasonable than I thought they were, because they are recognizing the broad popular sentiment. And if the Democrats don't recognize this and allow, this is funny, exactly. If the Democrats don't recognize this and allow the discourse to be dominated by right-wing figures who at different points have said actually anti-Semitic shit themselves, like Marjorie Taylor Greene famously said Jews have a space laser that did the wildfires in California. Like, she's a fucking freak. When those people are coming across as the reasonable ones, because the Democrats are not only silent about this major issue, but also simultaneously antagonistic towards the popular position that their base represents, you allow these people to look reasonable. The Mamdani-Trump voter, working class, Asian, and Hispanic neighborhoods where Zohran Mamdani performed well in the 2025 Democratic primary that shifted significantly to the right in the 2024 general election. GOP trend was R plus 49, 74% went to Mamdani. R plus 49 GOP trend, 62% went to Mamdani. Brighton Beach, R plus 26, 52% went to Mamdani. Look at all these districts, man. Districts that swung wildly in the direction of Trump went back and voted for Mamdani. There's got to be something there. And if people don't want to investigate this, if people refuse to investigate this, then they're destined to lose. And I think people are deliberately refusing to investigate this because they are terrified that they have to make changes. A lot of people in the Democratic Party want this to go away. They want to keep pushing the pro-Israel line. That's what they want to do. They would rather have everybody shut the fuck up and they collect their checks and they continue American militarism in the region. It's so stupid. They want to continue being establishment Democrats and win comfortably. Well, not win comfortably, but win marginally because of Trump's ineptitude. Zohran Mamdani's primary victory against $37 million in super PAC money backing Andrew Cuomo, with a lot of establishment Democrats backing Andrew Cuomo and defending Andrew Cuomo and attacking Zohran Mamdani. And Zohran's victory, in spite of all of that, shows that my method that I've been fucking advocating for years and years is a successful one. And this is a unique opportunity here, because now we will see if once you make it out the cut, once you make it out the Democratic primary, a closed primary, right? What it would look like if the Democrat instruments, the Democrat turnout machine worked in favor of this progressive candidate if we go in that direction. It is obvious to me that a lot of establishment Democrats believe their own lies. Because if they didn't believe their own lies, they wouldn't have talked about Israel at all. They would have said, like, Zohran is gay, he's woke, he wants to defund the police, he wants to make sure that like a homeless person lives in your house or something. Like, they would have said those things that probably would have been a little bit more, that probably would have had voters believe them a little bit more. But because the Israel is so unpopular, it is a third rail in the opposite direction. Back in the day, people used to say Israel is the third rail of politics. You're not supposed to touch that at all as a Democrat. I saw Ryan Grimm post this. Jessica Ramos in 2014. If you want to understand how much discourse has shifted on this issue, let me show you this. Jessica Ramos in 2014 literally posted a Facebook post saying, like, Palestine, heart. That was considered an unacceptable thing to do. Here, look at how much things have shifted. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. This was the New York City discourse politics around Gaza in 2014. This was a scandal. Dem official expresses sympathy with Gaza. Jessica Ramos' Palestinian post on Facebook is about advocating for peace. She posted Palestine heart, 18 likes, 31 comments on a Wednesday at 9:57 p.m. Jessica Ramos, a Democratic district leader from Jackson Heights, raised some eyebrows and angered some in her party after posting this Facebook status last week. I come from this environment, which is why I'm so hopeful about the future of American politics, especially as it pertains to the issue of Palestinian emancipation. This is what I remember. This is the media landscape and the media environment that I was doing Palestinian advocacy around, and many older pro-Palestinian activists were doing advocacy around. Think about how much discourse has shifted since then. A lot of Democrats still think this is the case. They still think this is the media environment. They still think this is the attitude that this is the broader public sentiment, that you can punish people for being anti-Zionist openly. You cannot. If anything, it takes away from other criticisms that might be more prescient, other criticisms that might be more successful, and it unironically galvanizes, it negatively polarizes people against whatever your candidate is, and in the direction of people like Zohran. It actually gives him credibility as an anti-establishment pick at a time when people are desperately looking for someone to shake things up.
They're not even trying. They're openly saying, yes, we're going to go over to Israel. Yeah, sorry, guys, but he's horrible? Good. Okay, so then, and they should listen to this. You think this guy's so horrible? Okay, then stop putting up people that put Israel ahead of the United States. Yeah, all right, because as a show of force, I would rather vote for somebody who is fucking horrible. I would rather flip the fucking board over. I would rather vote for a fucking a crackhead under a bridge than stay inside of the little tiny narrow, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Stop giving us shitty candidates that prioritize Israel over New York City.
My goal would be to take my first trip to Israel. My wife's life work in this area means a lot to our family, and it could coincide with my young son Miles' bar mitzvah.
If they were smarter, they would drop the Israel stuff instantly. They would never try to talk about it at all. They would go after other shit. Now, when you actually say someone is anti-Israel, how dare they be anti-Israel, all that does is make people like that person. Make people that aren't even affiliated with the party like that person.
But I truly do believe that the only way to overcome people like him and the, like Israel first lobby is to just simply vote against it at any cost. Yeah, voting for a communist Islamist because you hate Jews is crazy. Yep, and keep saying it's because you hate Jews, and you're going to keep getting more communist Islamists, and you get what you fucking deserve. Yep, keep playing that game, keep lying, keep misrepresenting things, keep trying to overplay your hand. Yeah, keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's working out great.
Make people believe that this is a real person. This is an earnest communicator. Yeah, this is what Bernie is saying. Democrat Party leaders, you have talked for 6 months about the need to create a political excitement to get working class and young people involved in the political process. That's exactly what Zohran did. Get behind him. Bernie Sanders, regardless of his attitude on this issue, will never go on and do something like what Eric Swalwell is doing here.
And frankly, stylistically, and I'm not a socialist, and I don't associate myself with what he has said about the Jewish people.
Like, can you imagine Bernie ever being like, Bernie saying anything but like incredibly positive things about Zohran? No, you can't. Same with Brad Lander. And of course, boom. Eric Swalwell has collected nearly $200,000 from the Israel lobby. He's still accepting blood money from AIPAC and Paris, their talking points to help enable and fund a genocide.
Reporting from the Middle East for years. Do you have a sense of how that region now views the United States? Because this is an unprecedented military action by the United States. While we've had tension with Iran for all these years, we've never bombed them.
Right. I think there was a moment, when Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump were kind of dangling this idea of regime change. That is anathema to people in this region. They remember the invasion of Iraq. They remember the hundreds of thousands of people and the wave of terror and sectarianism and chaos that was unleashed as a result of that. So absolutely, that's abhorrent for people to hear in this region. But honestly, Iran is not the big issue right now in this region with America. Gaza is what is tearing people apart.
I mean, she's right. She's right. This is like a refreshing change of pace. Israeli defense officials estimate that Hamas has filled its military ranks and now has 40,000 combatants. I am a 73-year-old woman in Australia. After seeing what Israel has done and continues to do, if I was capable, I'd join Hamas. I'm a 71-year-old woman in the U.S. I took down my first reply to your post because apparently here in the U.S., a non-citizen can be detained, possibly disappeared for having a thought like that. Maybe next week or maybe tomorrow, that danger will include citizens too. Free Palestine. I wondered if I should take it down after I saw it was getting a lot of likes. Hamas is a designated terror org here. The Z lobby is powerful and taking journalists to court. I'm a children's writer. Partner suggested I leave it up. Vive the resistance. Dog, it's fucking over. Just give it up. It's like that Gucci bag that's like falling apart. Just drop it, dude. Just drop it. We'll act like you were never there, okay? We won't punish you for it. Just drop it. Just drop it quietly. Start talking about how much you love Palestine. You know what I mean? Like, just drop it. Just because it's so fucking over. And there are still people that are desperately clinging on to this failed notion that you can somehow put this to rest.